Let's talk about anti-computer forensics and removing evidence of activity from an operating system and application. The easiest way to eliminate evidence is to avoid even creating it in the first place. It might sound obvious, but it's extremely effective. If you don't need to store a file, then don't. If you don't need version tracking in Word, then switch it off. If you don't need browser history in your browser, disable it. Switch off logging if you don't need it. Don't download files if you don't have to. Also, store data in a remote location out of the sphere of influence of your adversary or out of the reach of the threat that you are concerned about. But it is actually very difficult to remove all evidence of activity on an operating system and in applications. Data can be found in all sorts of places, and every time there is a change to an operating system or an application, data could end up being written in new places that you were not aware of before, or that the community was not aware of before. So it's hard to keep up. It can be in places like registers and cache, the registry, process tables and ARP caches, system memory like RAM and ROM, temporary file systems, special disk sectors, and so on. And there is an entire industry of computer forensics experts that are out there who are experts in finding data that has been left behind by your operating system and applications. They do it every day. They know what they're doing. It is another arms race, and in my opinion, it's not a game that you want to play to try to be able to remove evidence of activity and successfully do that against people who are computer forensics experts. It is better to avoid it where possible, so not create it, because you are likely to lose against a professional whose full-time job it is to find data on a system. We want to be smarter than that. But other than not storing the data in the first instance, our second layer of defense is encryption. We want to prevent the game. If you're really concerned about evidence that may be on your device, then the device just has to be encrypted. And I'm referring here to whole disk encryption, which is preferable, or partition encryption, plus self-encrypting drives and file encryption here. And you can see the section or refer back to the section on encryption for more information on this, where we discuss it at quite length. Encryption is vital. Encryption reduces the need for evidence elimination by preventing your adversary from getting to any information in the first instance. But we take a layered approach to security, defense in depth. Not storing the information is our first step, encrypting it is our second step. Other layers of defense might be running your operating systems and applications in memory so that nothing is stored on disk. Then there is nothing to delete again. The Tails operating system is a recommended tool for this, but other live operating systems can be used that don't actually store data to disk, so there is nothing to delete. If you do need to store data, you can store data on removable encrypted media such as USB drives and SD cards, and then that can be physically secured away from your adversary or threat, or it can be physically destroyed quickly. You can also use virtual machines to perform tasks that leave your host operating system completely clean, and use snapshots and containers to restore to a clean snapshot after performing the tasks. You can use portable apps with encrypted containers, so for example running a portable browser within a Veracrypt container. All of these are better methods than just using an operating system and application and then attempting to delete the information afterwards. It's better to avoid or contain or separate where you put that information so it is easier to delete. You never want to be in the game of trying to remove evidence from an operating system. You're better off being able to delete that entire operating system or make sure that entire operating system is completely encrypted as a much better layer of defense. But saying that, now we're going to move into evidence elimination tools, because again, we're talking about layers of defense here. Even though you go through and do all those things I've just described, I would then still recommend you use evidence elimination tools as well.